Good morning, beautiful people. Happy Sunday morning. It is so good to see you. It is so good to be here with you as we choose intentionally and deliberately to take this time to celebrate the magnificence and significance of God in, through, and as us. And we celebrate this truth as one family. Let us begin, as we always do, with prayer. And so in this moment, I invite you to close your eyes and take a breath in. Breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth, and again, in through your nose and out through your mouth. And let us affirm together, I am here now.
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 There is one mind, one power, one presence that is working in all, through all, and as all. There is one life, and that life is the life of God, and it is a life that is moving, living, and having its being in, through, and as us. The activity of us is the activity of the divine in us, through us, and as us. This divine mind, this creative cause, this substance, this intelligence, this thing that I call Mother, Father, God, neither comes nor goes, for it is always right here, right now. It is omnipresence, God with us, God in us. It is constantly encountered. It will never leave us. It will never forsake us. And we are one with it and one of it. Intimately and intricately connected, we can never be separated from the love that is God, from the good that is God, from the healing that is God, from the answers that is God, from the solution that is God, from the intelligence that is God. There is no thing that can separate us from this love that is, from this good that is, from this God that is. And as I remember that we are one with God and one of God, I now speak this word in faith. I now speak this word with positive knowing. I now speak this word with positive expectation, knowing that this time, this gathering, the weekend service is blessed beyond compare. Knowing that this time, that this gathering we call the weekend service is prosperous and prospering. This time, this gathering that we call the weekend service, it is good and getting better all the time. This gathering that we call the weekend service is loved, loving, and filled with love. This gathering that we call the weekend service is healing. Our minds are being healed right now. Our bodies are being healed right now. Our false beliefs are being healed right now. All things that are unlike what God knows to be true are being disintegrated, transformed right here and right now in our midst. I am so grateful and thankful for the opportunity to heal. I am so grateful and thankful for the opportunity to hear the truth and apply the truth and allow the truth to permeate our beings, going down to the very marrow of our bones. I am so grateful and thankful for the opportunity to learn. I am so grateful and thankful for the opportunity to live this truth and be lighthouses on the earth, examples of what is possible, examples of moving from despair to hope, to all is well, to thriving. Examples and reminders on the planet that no situation, no circumstance, no experience is fixed. It's all changeable. Examples to remind the world that it is possible to live differently, that it is possible to live from a healed mind, that it is possible to live a healed life. So it is with joy and thanksgiving that I release this prayer. Grateful and thankful for what the weekend service is, what it is becoming, and what it is doing in, through, and as our lives. We let it be right here and right now. We open our hearts and minds to receive. So with joy and thanksgiving, I release this prayer. And together we say, Amen.
Amen.
Ashe.
Ashe.
And so it is.
So it is.
And so it is. And so it must be. Well, hello again. Happy Sunday. It is so very good to be here. And we are happy that you chose to choose your Sunday, to use your Sunday morning in this way, to stream in and connect in with us. Now, if you are a first-time guest, we, of course, are happy that you chose to come here or someone invited you, however you got here. It's all good, and we're happy to be here with you. We're happy to connect in with you. You can feel free to shout yourself out in the comments. Let us know where you're connecting in from. But but there's no pressure to do that. Also, we would love to hear from you otherwise and stay in touch with you. And so as you see the information here on your screen, you can access our digital connection card by texting the word welcome to 347-472-1078. Once you text that number, you'll receive a link to the digital connection card. Complete all the information and submit that information, and you'll receive a follow-up text that says you're all set. And indeed, at that point, you are all set. You'll be on our mailing list. We send out an email that goes out on Fridays, and it'll keep you abreast of what's going on here at CSC and give you additional information, follow-up information sometimes for what happens here in service. And also, you'll hear some of the things in the announcements that you probably want to have in your inbox so that you can access it later on in the week. So with that said, I think it's a good time to get into the announcements so that we can move forward with our meditation and with class. We are a church that believes in prayer, and every Wednesday morning we gather together for the Momentum Prayer Call. This is our midweek prayer opportunity, our prayer call that happens at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Call in, enter the access code, and wait. We share a reading that day, and then we pray. It's either led by myself, Pastor Yolanda, or one of our prayer champions, and then we move on with our day. It's a wonderful way to continue the momentum in your week. We create a powerful momentum here on Sundays. And so to tap back into that vibration and continue it, Wednesday mornings does that. We also recognize that sometimes you just need to jumpstart your momentum. And so the Momentum Prayer Call will do that. We take the time to speak and know and affirm the truth for every beautiful soul that is connected to CSC in any way, for our nation and our world. So we are holding space and knowing the highest truth for each and every one of you. And so if you are not able to make the call at that time, all good. You can actually use the playback number and call in and access the recorded prayer. The most recent prayer is always available 24/7, no matter what. Now, you may have a prayer request, and if you have a prayer request, you can send that email to prayerchampions@celebrationsc.org. That email will be received by our prayer champions as well as Pastor Yolanda and myself, and we will continue, as we always do, to know the truth with you, to speak the truth, to affirm the truth, to see you victorious, to see you overcoming that situation, to see your loved one victorious, to see your loved one overcoming the situation, whatever it may be. We are happy to stand and agree with you that something good is happening in, through, and as that situation, and it's changing right here and now. As you choose to send that email, we always admonish you to see yourself releasing and casting the burden on the mind of God and going free, making yourself available to hear what it is that God is seeking to do and express through you, as we recognize that prayer is actually answered through us. Right? There's not some being that's going to come down and give you the miracle, but it actually happens through us. On the third Sunday, May 15th, it's God Talk Sunday. That is the time that we hold the God Talk after service at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. What is the God Talk? It's your opportunity to ask questions, whatever those questions may be. We recognize and have always been clear since as we were visioning CSC that there needed to be a forum and a space by which folks could just ask a question, learning how to apply metaphysical and new thought principles to your lives, maybe just some confusion around how is this working? Like, I've read this principle, but I'm experiencing this in my life. How do these things add up? Whatever it may be, we are happy to answer those questions. It is always an awesome time. No question is off limits. It happens on Zoom as we are virtual, so the Zoom link and password is shared with our mailing list. You have to be on the mailing list to get that Zoom link and password, and it's in the weekly email. So for those of you who are joining us for the first time and you're hearing about this and you're like, oh, wow, this is something I may be interested in, this may be a reason that you want to join our mailing list, and you'll see that information again throughout the broadcast to join the mailing list. It is May. Wow. May 1st,
Wow.
actually. And as we always do, Memorial Day weekend, CSC will be closed on Sunday, May 29th. So we will not be broadcasting live. We will not be having our masterclass on that Sunday. So plan accordingly. Make hopefully some wonderful plans to do something fun or go somewhere and take advantage of that weekend. But we will not be having service that weekend. This is primarily for anyone who's joining us for the first time. We're in the midst of our Truth Sunday Masterclass, I've Got the Power. We're studying this book, The Power of Decision by Raymond Charles Barker. We're just on the 3rd chapter. So if you're joining us for the first time, we encourage you to get the book. You should see a link in the description, whether you're here on Facebook or on YouTube, a link to get to the book so you can purchase it. It is available in paperback, digital, and audio. And the audio book is good because it's unabridged. And so we encourage you again to get the book and join us in this wonderful study because it is very, very powerful.
Yes, it's a classic for a reason.
And so that concludes our announcements for today. So we can move into our meditation, and PY will lead us ever so lovingly and masterfully.
Yes, it is a new month, a new opportunity to implant a thought of love and truth and beauty and power into our subconscious mind and into our experience. If you are new to CSC, we call this the meditation experience because we can have read and studied all these sacred texts, and that is beautiful. We do that here. However, it is only by our direct connection with this power and presence that we feel it alive within us, that we get to understand it more completely, realize that we're connected to it, and allow that knowing to guide every step of the way in our lives. So it's more about experiencing God for ourselves. And so we have time, we take time since day one to meditate, to focus on the breath, to go within, to quiet the external, and to focus on the aliveness of the internal. This month is a beautiful opportunity to affirm something powerful. Divine love is flowing through me now. Just like these waters are flowing, this divine knowing and presence and power and unifying force is flowing through us, our thoughts, our lives, and our experience. Many times when we begin to study new text, and it points out things in our awareness of what we haven't consciously been doing, we sometimes beat up on ourselves. That is not the will and desire of love or God. If things are not going according to our wants and desires, we sometimes beat up on ourselves. But what we do now is close our eyes and remember that divine love, unconditional love, is flowing through me now. I let it speak. I let it move. I let it inspire me to action. I let it remind me of my perfection. I let it love me. And so we're going to take this month to affirm it, to feel it, and to know it. So, go ahead and look around the room. Notice where you are. Whether you are seated upright in a chair, on your bed, on your sofa, that's the gift of being online and virtual. You can choose a location. We know that you are safe because you have chosen the location right now. Look around the room, take it all in, and use the senses to bring you present, reminding you of your safety as we close our eyes and begin to feel God for ourselves. With our eyes closed, we align the shoulders over the hips, creating a nice long line of energy. Plant the palms on the tops of the thighs and notice the breath. Divine love flows on the breath. Divine joy flows on the breath. Energy flows on the breath. We make no judgment of where the breath is. We just notice it and are in gratitude for its movement. Take a few rounds to notice. As we are practicing now the power to choose, we consciously take control of the breath. We send our focus and the breath into the low belly. Sometimes we're breathing really high up on the chest, creating more anxiety and stress. We drop the breath all the way down now, into the low belly. And together, on a count of 4, inhale. Hold the breath there. Open the mouth, relax the jaw, and sigh out. Again, into and through the low belly. Expanding the low belly, keeping a nice long line of energy. Hold it there. Open the mouth, relax the jaw, and release, sigh it out. Count of 4. Inhale into the low belly and up through the rib cage now, expanding the front and the sides and the back of the body. Opening and allowing all of that breath in. Hold it there. And without collapsing, relax the jaw and sigh it out. Following that path again, in through the low belly, up through the rib cage, finding new places to send the breath, new places to send love. Hold it there. And release everything unlike love. In through the low belly, up through the rib cage, now making its way to that altar of the divine, the heart, chakra, center of the chest. Hold it there. Allow divine love to be activated. And now sigh it out. We are drawn by the breath in through the low belly, up through the rib cage, back to the heart. Hold it there. And releasing, count to 4, relaxing, sighing it out. Beautiful, everyone. Let's connect all of that breath for a few rounds. Just breathing completely, fully, opening and allowing divine love to fill us now. And when you arrive at the top, hold it there. And this time, exhale through the nose. Nice and easy, as the lips are closed. This will be our form of breathing, connecting, allowing, in and out through the nose for the remainder of our meditation. Each cycle of breath, we affirm divine love is flowing through me now. It is healing me now. It is supporting me now. It is encouraging me now. It is cheering me on now. I allow it to flow. Let's send this energy consciously throughout our bodies now, relaxing, making more room. Send your focus, energy, and love into the feet. Maybe the feet have been a little tense or tight. Send the breath, relax the feet. Energy flows up through the soles of the feet, across the ankles. Relax the ankles. We give permission for this divine love to flow across the shins and the calves. Relax the shins and the calves. Energy flows across the thighs and the glutes and the hamstrings. No obstruction of love within us. We welcome it, this divine love flowing through us. Relax the thighs and the glutes and the hamstrings. For we are safe, we can surrender that lower half of the body now. And allow this energy gathered at the base of the spine to activate the subtle body system that we call the chakras. Energy flows in and up, 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 balancing and aligning all of our desires and all of our truth and all of the love as it flows out the crown of our head. We become a beacon for love, a channel for truth and inspired ideas. This love, this energy connects us all. And now, even more powerfully, flows back down through the crown, across the third eye, opening and balancing the throat, across the shoulders, down the arms, out to the fingertips. From within your own mind and experience, see yourself as completely available to love. This unifying force. Scan your body, notice if you're holding any tension. It's okay. Send love there, send breath there. You may turn the palms up to receive more, or keep the palms turned down. As we prepare for our silent time, if the mind wanders, it is okay. For we are affirming the truth when we remember and are aware. We let that truth permeate and relax us even more. For divine love is flowing through you now. Enjoy the experience of it now. With our eyes still closed, we enjoy connection. We enjoy the relaxation. We enjoy our individualized experience of God, of love, of peace. With our eyes closed, we internally take a picture of how good it feels to relax and to know that we are eternally loved. And with our eyes closed, we remember that we can come back to this place at any time by taking the breath, closing the eyes, and affirming that divine love is flowing through me now. Let the flow continue to be uninterrupted. But if you feel afraid or constricted at any point, come back here. Let us begin to make our easy return into the body. Maybe we wiggle the fingers of the toes. We elongate the breath. If the palms are turned up, turn them back down. As we plant the palms, we inhale and draw the shoulders up by the ears. And exhaling, releasing the breath and the shoulders back and down. Inhale up. Shoulders relax and release back and down. One more time. Inhale up. Shoulders release back and down. Bring palms together at heart center and bow the chin towards the fingertip. Nice opening at the base of the spine, the neck. That channel becomes more fluid and open and filled with love. Flutter the eyes, open. Nice, easy, gentle gaze. No strain on the eyes. Inhale, raise the chin and raise the gaze. Exhale. Namaste.
Yes, yes, yes. Namaste. Thank you, PY.
You're welcome.
Yes. So we are in the 5th week of our class, but we are beginning chapter 3 today, which is the decision chapter. As a reminder, please, as you're reading, send your questions as you have them to truthsunday@celebrationsc.org. You'll see that email address throughout the stream. And we do our best to incorporate those questions as we can with the class. So we have 2 questions that we received for this chapter. It's sort of later in the chapter, so I'm not sure that we'll get to them today. So if we don't get to them today, then we'll definitely get to them next week. So there's a lot in this chapter. I think we should just lock in and get started here. Let's see. All right. Decision. Decision is the most important function of the individual mind. No creative process can begin until a decision is made. Now, remember last chapter, chapter 2's title is Indecision. And one of the things I said at the outset was that indecision is different than inactivity, right? And so here, when we hear no creative process can begin until a decision is made, so often we have a desire. We think the desire is the decision, right? But we have a desire, and then we need to decide that we are going to be, do, or have that thing. And so what we're learning is supporting us and becoming now decisive, right? Versus just having the desire or acknowledging the desire. I could not write this chapter until I had arrived at the decision to do it. I am writing this on a lazy summer day when the outdoors invites me to many pleasant things. I have been sorely tempted to move from my typewriter and relax with friends, but I have decided that this chapter shall be written, and it shall be written now. Having made the decision, every right idea will flow into my consciousness. Each idea will reveal itself at the instant I need it. The writing proceeds, but it could not proceed without my having decided. The creative process awaits your decision and your calm acceptance of the necessary work on your part following the decision. Idea follows idea as you proceed in the work of bringing to pass that which you decided would now be.
I love this.
There's so much richness here, right? And it's a different way to approach life, right? When he says, the creative process awaits your decision and your calm acceptance of the necessary work on your part following the decision.
I have this highlighted too.
See, there is I would say, misguided truth in why people affirm hustle and grinding. Because there is necessary work. There's necessary doing, right? What I think about in this moment reading this is if you are an athlete, right, you're going to have to train. You're going to have to lift weights. You're going to have to eat in a certain way, eat certain things and not eat certain things. Maybe eat within certain windows of time. There's a certain amount of calories you're going to have to eat. Right? There's so many things that you're going to have to do. There's necessary work. But there's calm acceptance of it. Why? Because I decided that I will be a champion. I've decided that I will be a professional athlete. I've decided that I will be this thing. And so all that, in the same way that I've decided, if I decide that I'm going to LA, there's a calm acceptance of paying for my flight. There's a calm acceptance of taking the ride to JFK. There's a calm acceptance of walking through TSA because I have decided that I'm going to be, do, or have this thing, right? The necessary work follows the decision. And when you make the decision, then the calm accepting of it, you're no longer pushing, you're no longer hustling, you're no longer grinding.
And it's not saying calm acceptance doesn't mean you're not excited about it. It just means that you will follow the logical, necessary steps. The decision doesn't also mean you have all the answers right now. A lot of times we get worried or anxious because we make a decision and we don't know how all the steps are going to play out, right? That's not what he's saying. It's you're going to do what is calmly revealed to you. You're going to take the necessary steps. It's necessary, so it's logical.
Yep.
You're not going to do any extraneous things because you think you know how. You're just going to follow the logical next steps.
Flow.
It's flow.
Flow, flow, flow.
Right?
That's
it doesn't
the
mean that
opposite of
it's not
hustle
saying
and grinding. Yeah.
inactivity. It's saying necessary activity. It's saying, oh, this makes complete sense to me. Activity. Right? This is so important. Because all of these things that we're saying, go back if you didn't grab it just now and listen. It's not saying that there's nothing happening.
Right.
There is something happening.
Right.
It's not saying that you have to have all the steps laid out.
Right.
That's not what it's saying. Right? There's a calm acceptance. There's a joy in having the step that's right in front of you revealed.
Whatever that may be.
There's a joy in accepting that I've decided I'm going to LA. I've decided I'm going to be an athlete. I've decided whatever the decision is.
And I'm reminded because I said the word flow. I think it was about 4, maybe 5 years ago. January series, Hustle and Flow. It was all about teaching you how to flow and letting go of the hustle and living in the flow. So that may be a sermon series you want to check out as it connects to this. You are able to accomplish anything you really want to accomplish. The infinite is yours to explore, and the infinite is never dull, stale, or commonplace. To say you do not know what to do or you do not know what you want is to negate the infinite intelligence which is individualized in you. What you are really saying is that you are too lazy to determine your own experience, or you think another person is better equipped to determine your good.
Okay. So there's one word in this little passage that I have highlighted because I want to liberate this word, this idea that we may have about this word. Too lazy. Many times people, black and brown bodies, have been historically throughout time considered lazy or told that they were being lazy, or, back in the day, you worked to death. And still we're called lazy. So we've been ingrained with this idea and passed down generation upon generation upon generation that we've always got to be moving and doing, right? And so, and when I'm saying liberate this word, I want us to really understand what the word is saying, not our interpretation, not what we've been ingrained to think about the word.
Right. Not our triggers.
Not our triggers by it. Because for someone like me who was a type A personality, I was And so when I see lazy, I'm like, how dare you tell me blah, 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 blah. And I can't say what I said. Anyway, let's think about the word. If you look at the definition, disinclined to activity or exertion, not energetic or vigorous, encouraging inactivity, moving slowly.
As in a lazy river.
As in a lazy river.
Right.
Not strict, not rigorous. Nowhere in there is this word saying that you are shiftless and worthless. We begin to conflate because that's what we've been passed down to believe. All it's saying is a lazy river shiftless and worthless. It's just moving slowly, okay? And so when we look at the word too lazy, to determine, also what it's saying is you're not focused.
Right.
You've restricted your focus. And so you've given your power to someone else to decide.
Right. And that's a beautiful way to really say what he's saying, right? What you've done is given your power away.
Right. So if anyone else was triggered or internalized that because you already have a belief about yourself that you're not doing enough, and you use that word to say, yep, that's exactly what I am. I'm lazy. That's not what the word means. Okay? So free yourself, forgive yourself, set yourself free, and understand what the word really means.
Right.
So that you can take back your focus, take back any power that you've given away, and if anything you agree with, that is it. Right?
Right. And in most cases, many of us just didn't know that we could determine our own experience, right?
Right.
So we were disengaged because we thought, oh, well, yeah, that stuff, I don't have any power, or I can't determine that. So something else or someone else or life or society or my parents or my family or my culture or my country that determines that, right? However I was born, whatever class, I was born working class, I was born middle class, I was born upper class. So that's what's determining. Right. And we've seen that. It's interesting. But we've even seen that folks that are born so-called privileged or, born into a wealthy family, and they have no desire to be anything related to what their family is or doing. But they feel like, well, this is what I was born into, so this is what I'm supposed to do.
And so there's no excitement or energy. And so that could be lazy. Right. We're not talking about relaxed in the flow. We're talking about ways in which we have been labeled as less than, unworthy, ways in which we've accepted the label for ourselves.
Absolutely.
So if in any fact there's some judgment in your mind about your inactivity, what we're saying here is now you have the power to choose.
Yes.
To decide what you focus on and to lovingly, calmly accept the necessary steps to allow it to happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it.
Absolutely.
And I hope this helped someone today.
Yeah.
Because that word has always been a trigger, and I can be honest, for me and maybe some other people. And I wanted to take a little bit of time to talk about it.
Absolutely. That's very necessary. Very necessary. Where are we? Okay. No one else on earth is better equipped to determine your good than you are. The universe has no favorites, and God knows no special person. Others may have more factual knowledge and more experience. They have this because of their own decisions. Consciously or subconsciously, they decided to think new ideas, read new sources of ideas, and execute definite plans based on the new ideas they had assimilated. They know more because they decided to know more. You can do likewise. That's
Remember,
the good news.
this book is all about empowering you. If you've been unconscious, now you get to be conscious. We talked last week about freeing ourselves, loving ourselves, letting all this stuff go, forgiving ourselves, forgiving others. And now we read this book through the lens of a forgiven mind.
Yes.
We read this book through the lens of a unconditionally loved mind. So anytime something triggers you like that, we come back to it and we're like, wait a minute, is that what he's saying?
Right.
If it ain't what he's saying, right? If I have to take a little time to go back and research the word or whatever it is, I realize that this book is all about empowering me to choose.
Yeah.
Because others have chosen and their lives have reflected that. You can do likewise.
Yep. Yep. Explore ideas as the mariners of old explored the seven seas. They were impelled by an inner fascination with that which was unknown but could be known. They risked great physical dangers and underwent great deprivations. These you will not need to face. That's very important. This is what it reminds me of is I think it was a Silent Night of the Soul, a sermon, a Christmas sermon I did. And echoing some of Eckhart Tolle's ideas as well, that a dark night of the soul isn't necessary, right? Many times we think if we're making change or we're doing something new, it requires physical danger and great deprivations. These you will not need to face. Please hear that.
Right. You don't have to go without. You don't have to, for some people quitting their job that day, and some people don't need to do that. You can easily move into the next thing. You don't have to be in peril to have prosperity.
Exactly. Your decision to explore new realms of mind will not take you away from your comforts of each day unless you let your comforts coddle you into only existing rather than actually being. You were created to be, and to be, you have to emerge from the cocoon of complacency and dare to venture in consciousness across uncharted seas of mind. And in consciousness, that means in the mental realm, in your thought, endeavor to entertain these ideas in your mind and then decide upon them, make them a part of your life. Even as you read this book, there are people everywhere who have decided to expand their lives. They have decided to be well and not sick. They have decided to prosper and not continue in financial limitation. They have decided to give and receive love. They have decided to be themselves. As a result, they have right ideas revealing themselves in their minds to accomplish their decisions. These people are willing to be temporarily uncomfortable in order to achieve expanded consciousness and reach new goals.
And that temporarily uncomfortable could mean I don't know what's next, but I'm not going to let the I don't know prevent me from taking the next logical step. Change sometimes feels uncomfortable because it's unknown.
Right, it's unfamiliar.
And it's unfamiliar,
Yeah.
right? And so it can feel a little, right? But we're not going to let that unfamiliarity prevent us from choosing calmly and moving forward.
Right. You know that sense of feeling when you're driving somewhere for the first time, and usually it seems really long. Like it could be a 30-minute trip, but it feels like it's an hour just because everything is unfamiliar. But then when you're going back home, it's like, wow, this was really fast, right? Same trip, same distance, right? But you're now familiar with it, so it has the context is different and your experience of it is different.
Right.
And so that's what all that uncomfortable is, right? It's just like driving somewhere for the first time and it's unfamiliar.
Right.
Right. And so for that reason, you're watching things differently and it may feel like it's taking a long time. It really isn't, but it's your perception in the moment. And you realize later that, oh, actually, this is a really quick trip.
That's a beautiful analogy because the brain, the mind likes safety and familiar. Okay, it's not just your mind; it's every mind.
Every mind.
And so it takes information in so that it can categorize it, put it in its proper place, file it away, so that it knows how to respond the next time. And so when you're trying something new, there's no mental Rolodex to pull from to decide, oh, I know what this is. And so there's a little bit of discomfort potentially, or because it's not something that you've seen 100 times. It's not something the brain necessarily can fill in all the gaps because of past information, right? So just know that's just what it is.
Yeah.
And once you begin to get more information, or you also can consciously talk to the mind and say, I've been in a place I didn't know before, but I made it through perfectly.
Yeah.
Everything worked out for me.
Yeah.
And so you're also feeding and treating that mind so that it can calm down the nervous system.
There you go. Such people make contributions to the world. They do not wait for others to create the new, the vital, and the futurative. They do it. They are willing to change consciousness. They consciously or unconsciously realize that they are important to the grand scheme of life. They may never acquire fame or fortune, but they have the sense of well-being which accompanies all creative activity. You belong in their ranks. Right? This is the other thing that's beautiful. This is not about becoming the most famous or most important part in the world, but you matter to the grand scheme of life. The invisible you. The real you is not only invisible, it is also immeasurable.
I love that line.
In my class instruction in the science of mind, I use the following illustration to make the student realize that they inhabit a larger arena than that which the five senses reveal. I ask the reader to try this experiment, and you can try it with us here now. Close your eyes and take a moment to relax your body as completely as you can. Place your feet flat on the floor. Sit in a comfortable position. It sounds like PY.
I was going to say, wait.
Let your hands relax and be at peace. Think of yourself as being unlimited, spaceless. You are aware of your body wherever your clothes bind you, or the chair makes itself aware, or the floor beneath your shoes seems certain. Think of your forehead, your nose, your ears, the backs of your hands. Can you tell where the skin is and the space begins? Not the sides of your face. Note the sides of your face and see if you can sense where the skin is. Where is the bottom of your chin? In this relaxed position, it is almost impossible to define yourself as body, meaning outline and limitation. You realize that you are not just body, you are consciousness. You are idea. You seem to extend into infinity, and you really do. You glimpse that you are an activity of thought and feeling, moving through and participating in a continuum of mind. Right, for those of you that have studied Joe Dispenza with me,
sounds like Joe Dispenza.
This is right. This is how that Joe Dispenza meditation really begins, and we walk through, starting with the body and then expanding out beyond the body, which is supporting us in recognizing and acknowledging the absolute truth, not just spiritual truth, just the truth that we can define ourselves as a body. We possess a body, but of course we are spiritual beings having a human experience, right? And so our body is simply the vehicle, right? But it is not the all of who we are. As you practice this simple exercise, you lessen the hold of the body consciousness that has been ingrained in you by experience. You sense what the ancients called the invisible and eternal self, that which you really are because you have always been it. This correct self-awareness is unconditioned by time or space. It knows no limitation. It only knows expansion, the unfolding of consciousness unrestricted by past experience. It has not mortgaged its future. It trusts in the infinite intelligence and its ceaseless activity of ideas. You may say that this is interesting but not practical, but it is practical. Mm-hmm. Every improvement in the lot of humankind has come about because someone expanded their consciousness. Some individual saw beyond the limitations of the now as known in time to the now as known in eternity. Some man, woman, person saw that which would be already was. As idea, it was present. Therefore, as form, it could become present. This is true thinking. This is creative consciousness, and it can be yours.
And in fact, it is yours because of the way we were created. There was an idea in mind, the ultimate mind. It thought the idea, it created and formed.
Yep.
It passed down the ability to do likewise in your mind.
Right.
Right? But we have to get beyond just the physical experience of life and become the expanded awareness of life, where there are no limitations. And then we bring that insight and information back to create the lives we want.
Right. You know, there's an idea, and PY and I have talked about this a lot amongst ourselves, looking at the idea of A Course in Miracles teaches that miracles occur outside of time, right? This idea. And this speaks to what we're reading now, because what happens is the miracle, right, is the condition that already exists in the unseen, right? And we actually have to tap into or acknowledge that the unseen exists, and then as it said, so then therefore as form it could become present. So then the miracle or the experience of the shift in perception happens in form. It happens in our body, it happens in our relationship, it happens in our bank account, it happens in whatever that experience is. But it actually happens outside of time, because it's happening, we're tapping into the eternal. Right, where there is no time, right? We're going to talk about time a little more later, but that's what's happening, right? And so we recognize that anything that is new, right? We want a miracle in our lives. We want something to change, right? We want something in form to change. It has to be recognized and accepted in the unseen in order for it to become present as form. You are consciousness. To say I am consciousness is to state what you are as individuality. It is self-definition in the timeless, spaceless sense. It has neither name nor number. It needs neither location nor means. It is completeness. It includes all process, but is not process. It is pure being. It opens the trap doors to infinity and eternity. It knows no dimensions and does not need them. It operates by means of them, but is never conditioned by them. It is the you that you are. It is not the you that your educated consciousness has taught you as being. It is what you are in God. This is important because so much of what we see in our lives and in this world right now, we're advocating for certain identities, right? We're advocating to be accepted as we are. Now, one of the things that's true, and we must understand as spiritual beings, and we must understand as metaphysicians, is that who we are is this completeness, right? When we talk about perfect, whole, and complete, we are perfect, whole, and complete. We're talking about ourselves as consciousness. And so then that's why I have value as a black man in form right now, right? It's not that my blackness has power, right? Because that's still a limitation, right? It's not that my melanin has some unique power, right? But it's informed and endowed and empowered by this truth of I am consciousness, right? And what I am in God, right? That I am complete in God, always and forever, no matter how I may show up in form on this planet. And that's something that's very important. The reason being, and this reminds me of power versus force, because what can happen is we move to the level of pride, which is problematic, because we're saying that, who I am because I'm black or because of my sexual orientation or whatever, I have, pride in that, again, which is important, but then it can create separation. Right? Many times then it can create factualization, right? And separation. So it's important that we really come to this understanding that the reason that being black is beautiful, the reason that being gay is beautiful, the reason that being trans is beautiful is because of who and what you are in God. Before form. Before form,
and you get to express and experience that in form.
Yes.
Whatever form it is.
Exactly. Yes.
And so no other form, take
exactly.
that too, no other form is better than your form.
There you go.
And that's also been the problem, which is what led us to need the pride to move to
Right.
that level, because we believed that other forms were better than our form,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
And so that is not the case either.
No. No.
And so, again, pride is a great thing, but what we're moving to the level of understanding of our limitlessness,
There we go.
our consciousness. And so we take this form and allow it to be informed by that knowledge.
There you go. There
Right?
you go. There you go. This pure self-awareness is not intrigued by past, present, and future. It is aware of these lines of demarcation only as measurement, never as fact or limitation. This is not a self-concept. It is a glimpse and a sense of that concept, capital C concept, which you are in the larger mind of the infinite. It is the infinite and immeasurable you. Suddenly, you are all in all. You are in all, through all, as all. In this understanding, the word impossible is unknown.
That's why this is so, not the only reason, but that's a major reason why this understanding of yourself beyond form can benefit you in form,
There you go.
right? Because we're so tied to form that we see it just in terms of limitation. But when you move to this level of understanding beyond form, then everything that comes through the form is limitless,
There you go.
is easy, right?
The word impossible is unknown, for all knowledge and all process is yours. So this is where we get these ideas that to God all things are possible, right? This is why we can say this. But of course, if God's mind is your mind, if you are one with God, then to you also impossible is unknown. To you all things are possible. Whatever needs to be done is done in consciousness, for here alone is cause. Cause cannot be conditioned by effect, for cause is law unto effect.
I love this line.
Consciousness is. All else is secondary to it. It is spirit and it is truth. This is very powerful. That whole passage reminds me a lot of the Kabbalion, in how what's talked about the all in all, but we'll go on. As unconditioned consciousness, can we wait? I just want to make sure we hear unconditioned consciousness. This is important again, because once we get into form, think about we automatically start adding conditions to our consciousness, right? Again, it has great value for me to affirm and love myself as a black man, but that's now a condition, right? And thankfully, I have a positive view of that condition, right? Didn't always have that, right? And I had to learn to love myself as a black man, right? But unconditioned consciousness precedes all of that. You are spirit and you are truth. There is an aspect of you that is unconditioned. There is an aspect of you that is unbothered. There is an aspect of you that is untroubled, that is untouched. To know this is the most valuable idea that can ever be known. Every spiritual system was founded by one who knew this and groped his or her way toward it. We are still doing this today. We still sense the magnitude of true consciousness only in part. We sense it, and then the materialist does not. He is so busy with his world of effects and his manipulation of them that he cannot lift his sights to a larger horizon. If he were to read this far in the book, he would cast it aside and pronounce it to be impractical, metaphysical rubbish. I know hundreds of people who have proven this larger I am consciousness concept to be the turning point in their lives. It reversed their whole basis of making decisions. They ceased their worship of the past. They ceased their fear of the future. They canceled out all fear of death. They decided to be cause to their world because they now realized they were their world. We can be causers. They were no longer people experiencing life. They were life experiencing itself. For those of you who remember, as we talk about the stages of consciousness and that fourth stage, that I am, and there's no separation, this is exactly what Raymond Charles Barker is talking about.
Right, and if you think about that, that means there's no separation between me and answers.
Right.
There's no separation between me and whatever it is that I currently feel separate from or distant from or impossible to happen. If I'm operating this way, there is no separation between me and an ultimate knowledge, between me and love, between me and success, right? Between me and wisdom, between me and health. There is no separation.
They were their own saviors and their own saints. They needed no messiahs. Knowing themselves in God as God, they placed no lesser gods before themselves. That's the power. That's the truth of that idea of thou shalt have no other gods before me. Not so the materialist. He needs his other gods. He needs another to show him the way, to promise him salvation. He needs a heaven and a hell to frighten him into behaving with sense. He needs to believe that someone else is greater than he is. He needs another person's model, pattern, and plan. I am consciousness frees you from all of this. Can we affirm that together right now? I am consciousness. Affirm it right now.
I am consciousness.
Again, I am consciousness.
I am consciousness.
And a third time, I am consciousness.
I am consciousness.
I am consciousness frees you from all this. It causes you to emerge into the larger consciousness wherein you are the all, and the all is what you are. You are willing to be your own heaven and your own hell.
And what that means is I'm willing to understand my own thoughts that take me to that place or heaven or hell. I'm willing to let go of the things that have put me in hell.
There you go. There you go. I was reminded of a song I wrote, I'm Not Afraid. And in the chorus I say, I'm not afraid. I embrace it all, the good and the bad, because I'm not afraid. And so it's this idea that once you understand that you are consciousness, as we've been talking about, will you make mistakes? Yes. And will those mistakes sometime lead you to experiences that are unwanted, which is all hell is in this context? Right? I'm willing to do that. Why? Because I understand that I have the ability and capability to change it. Right? And so that's why I'm willing to be my own heaven and hell, right? Because no longer am I thinking that someone else is putting me in hell, or I'm afraid of someone putting me in bad conditions. I'm unafraid because I recognize how it works now.
That's really what it is too. And many times when we're materialistically focused, we're still trying to find things out there that make it make sense, that make us know we're good or beautiful or lovable or successful. And it's saying, yeah, that's not the real way to do it. If you know your consciousness, meaning I'm connected to all answers, then I don't need for something outside of me to validate my existence and my ability and the power that I have to create what I want. Right? And it only becomes a mistake if it sent you in the direction of an unwanted. But if you never make a choice, you never go in the direction of wanted or you're just in that way stuck. Right? And so the mistake is no longer a bad thing.
There you go.
It is just a choice point that provides information.
Right. Right. You start to live from that vantage point, as Napoleon Hill talks about, right? Every failure contains within it the seed of its equivalent success, right? So that's what you're no longer, again, he uses these terms heaven and hell, but it could just be, good outcomes and wanted or unwanted outcomes, right? And so it's like, oh, okay, this didn't go the way I planned it or the way I want it, right? But I know that even within this, I've learned what not to do, which means this is pointing me in what to do. You know you are your only redeemer out of the old into the new.
And right, Redeemer, you're the only one that can decide to forgive yourself and set yourself free. Right?
You seek not heaven by another person's route. You are the heaven you seek, and you awaken unto it, realizing your eternal experience in it. It has never left you, but you have closed your eyes to it. Now your eyes of perception are open, and that which you never left is seen. At night when you sleep, you dream the dream. In the morning, you awaken to the bed and the bedroom you never left. The dream may have been pleasant or horrendous, but you never left the bedroom nor the bed.
Which means we've never left consciousness in truth. We've had all kinds of experiences in this human form. Some of them have been nightmares, let's just be honest. But we've never left our connection to the truth of us,
There it is.
right?
There it is.
I mean, you can have all kind of dreams in one night, but I don't judge myself based on the experience of the dream.
Right.
I wake and know I'm still me.
Yep. Yep. You are measureless. The whole world of facts shouts at you what you cannot do. It says that you are a victim of the times. It measures you in words of successes and failure, health and disease, friends and enemies. It is emphatic about your age, your life expectancy, and finances. Excuse me. It affirms you as body, bank account, and ultimate death. I am consciousness reverses all this. And this is very important. And one of the reasons that this is important is because a lot of times folks come to, and definitely in that sort of the entry point, come to New Thought teachings, metaphysical principles, the secret, law of attraction, etc., for body, bank account, and finances, right? Some relationship, some area, right? It's very material. And what's so incredibly important to note and understand is to understand that when we're talking about I am consciousness, we're moving our identification from body, bank account, finances. I love he lays them all out, right? He says your age, your life expectancy, the things we've done or haven't done. We're removing all of that and taking our minds off of that to recognize who we are in truth, in totality. I am consciousness.
Right, which takes you back to the power seat.
There you go.
Right, I am consciousness that can do things in form.
Mm-hmm.
Right, I am consciousness that can have a certain amount of money. I am consciousness that can look a certain way or have a relationship in the physical form. But you got to start from the I am.
There you go.
And then move from there.
Yes.
Because if you're starting from I am my bank account, no matter how much money, you're going to be limited because the consciousness is unlimited in its resources.
There you go.
Right? So even if you Elon Musk, you're still limited. Which is why they keep trying to get more, acquire more, because it's that external focus
Hello.
that says, I ain't got enough yet. And the most of us would be like, you don't have enough yet? Well, what about me? Right? But if you're operating from the I am, you know that you will always have the ability to create on the external and have on the external. But the external is not you.
Hey. I am consciousness reverses all this. You know this is not so. You know yourself as pure awareness beyond the limits of time, space, and measurement, yet functioning in these arenas with ease and fulfillment. Ideas create facts, and you are now idea-minded. Intuition gives you the idea. You think the idea. The thought you think causes subjectivity to create the fact. No fact can appear in your experience unless you have accepted the idea and thought the thought. Knowing this, you order your experience and live in its freedom. You do not measure yourself with the measurements of fact or intellect. You see yourself as a becoming process, as that which yet shall be. In the infinite, there is no measurement, for there are no comparisons. The infinite is your existence, and you encompass its potentials.
If you think about ancestors, they didn't see it. They didn't have it out here, especially, those enslaved Africans. They didn't have it in tangible form. They didn't even have a home of their own, but they understood that they were consciousness, that there was something beyond what was known that they could have, they could be, that their children could have and be. If they only focused on what they could see, they would have never, ever, ever expanded beyond the conditions.
Right. It's true. It's true. Yeah. That line, there's no measurement, for there are no comparisons. I'm reminded, I was seeing a drummer, a brilliant drummer, famous drummer who's played for some of everybody. He was lamenting. He was like, I keep seeing all of these posts, comparing, musicians and who's better than another and all of this kind of stuff. And he's like, that's not what this is. There's no competition here, right? We're all expressing the music that's in us, right? And we're expressing, ultimately, I'm saying, God in, through, and as us, right? And this is important for us to understand. In the infinite, there is no measurement. Even I'm thinking about basketball now. There's always this, who's the GOAT? Is it Michael Jordan or is it LeBron James, right? In the infinite, there is no measurement, for there are no comparisons. The infinite is your existence, and you encompass its potentials.
Which
right?
makes us all the GOAT.
Right. How can you measure God in through and as Michael Jordan versus God in through and as LeBron James when it's both God expressing, the infinite expressing in brilliant, powerful, masterful, and amazing ways? And that's just the end of it.
And whether they were conscious of it or not,
Yeah.
they are experiencing the I am consciousness in their individual lives.
They're expressing it. Yeah.
They are expressing it, experiencing it, and that's what we're seeing, right? And so they keep breaking the rules and pushing the boundaries because they don't have the limitation that many of us would have. And whether a conscious decision to do that or not, that's what they're doing.
Yep.
Anyone that has extended any profession or anything is doing that.
Yep.
Or has given themselves permission to at least glimpse it and decided to move calmly in the direction of it.
Think back to the exercise I suggested to you at the beginning of this chapter. Again, shut your eyes, relax, and seek to determine where the skin of the sides of your face is. Note that you actually cannot measure the place where skin ceases and space begins. You cannot decide, for there is no decision to make. There is only the question to be contemplated and the truth to be observed. For the moment, you cannot measure this fact about yourself. Here is a place where you are measureless. Your consciousness is beyond measure. Your consciousness is beyond measure. Your consciousness is beyond measure. You can measure facts by taking examinations. Examinations have never proven what the individual knew on any given subject. The very word examination invokes a fear, which negates it as a valuable tool. Right? Very important. Think about that. So often, examination is another way to say judging. Right? Many times we're examining ourselves and giving ourselves an examination, testing ourselves, quizzing ourselves as we look back over our lives, or we look at what we've done or what we didn't do or what we should have done, right? But examinations have never proven who and what we really are. And actually, the word invokes fear. So how could you ever, that whatever outcomes you came to through your examinations are colored and filtered through fear. Therefore, how could you rely on them? If it's not colored by love and filtered through love, you can't rely on it. It's not a valuable tool. At the center of your consciousness is a purpose, but not a plan. The purpose is that of the infinite mind, aware of itself, thereby having consciousness. This consciousness is the purpose of your being. It is why you are what you are as consciousness. It has nothing to do with what you are at the fact level.
Which is the material level.
Right. So often people want to know, I want to know what my purpose is. If I knew what my purpose was, then I could be satisfied and move on with life. Right. And so what's interesting, your purpose is at the center of your consciousness, right? Here he's saying the purpose is that of the infinite mind, aware of itself, thereby having consciousness. The consciousness is the purpose of your being. It is why you are, what you are. It is why you are what you are as consciousness. It has nothing to do with what you are at the fact level. And so often when people are like, I don't know what my purpose is, all they're saying is they don't have a plan.
Right. And from this perspective, the plan is secondary to the realization and the acceptance of yourself as pure consciousness.
Exactly.
Right?
And so your purpose is to express God on the earth.
And I say that all the time.
Right.
Your purpose is to express God, to express love on the earth.
Right.
Your occupation is your choice.
Right. That's the plan.
Right?
Which can change any time.
Which can change at any time. Right. So wherever you are in your career, please let go of the examination of it, saying that, oh, this was the wrong choice or whatever. Because really, wherever you are, you can extend love and allow that conscious knowing to send you in the direction of the next thing.
There you go.
Not the better or the worse thing, just the next unfolding of consciousness.
There you go. There you go. This you have self-determined and experienced. Your real purpose is you as consciousness, intuitively directed by ideas, free to move in consciousness as consciousness, experiencing endless fields of consciousness.
I love this because, you know, we've been saying today and everybody's excited by I am consciousness. So when the I am consciousness begins to reveal itself as the inspired idea, don't be afraid.
Right.
Don't be afraid if it's beyond what you've ever thought or experienced in your life. The I am consciousness is taking you in the direction of expanded consciousness. Right? And so you don't have to have all the answers or the plan. But once you affirm, can't go back now, I am consciousness,
There you
it
go.
will begin to feel and expand you as consciousness.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Your real purpose is you as consciousness, intuitively directed by ideas, free to move in consciousness as consciousness, experiencing endless fields of consciousness. When you decide that this is what you really are, the purpose is known to you,
Yep.
and you perceive yourself as a continuum of thought and feeling, directing your experience world with volition. You plan your own plan, for there is no one to plan it for you. You select the ideas for your own experience, for besides you, as the selector, there is no other. Right? So then that's what you're doing. You're selecting, but you recognize that there's this great power in back, behind, and underneath, all around, and as you, that is then empowering you to be successful in any way, shape, or form, in any area of life.
And so no matter what you choose, it cannot be wrong.
There you go. There you go.
But if you think of it as wrong, you will block its ability to continue to create and expand consciousness in you, as you. They were choices.
Yeah.
If they were unwanted, meaning I realize now, I want another choice. I'm going to make a new choice.
Yeah.
And that's what you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I cannot even think about all the careers that I've had, but each one of them has empowered me with knowledge and skills that I use now that I never even, this was not a thought. But I can use all of that information and insight, even in the unwanted choices, now to choose differently, live differently, and make empowered choices from this point forward.
Absolutely. This might be our last section. Trapdoors in the mind. Intuition has too long been used at the material level only. People claim that their intuition helped them to select the right horse at the racetrack, or the right marriage partner, or the right stock to buy. If these selections turn out all right, then they are claimed to be the results of intuition. If they turn out wrongly, they are considered the results of bad judgment. True intuition does not deal with getting. Again, this is taking our minds and our thoughts off of the material. True intuition does not deal with getting. It deals with self-awareness. It is not the infinite seeking to give you more things. Most of the readers of this book do not need more things. They need a larger sense of self. They
I
need
wish that was
to,
a capital S, but go ahead.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. They need to know what they are as pure consciousness. Only then can they make correct decisions based not on facts, things, or good judgment. They are for those who are not yet able to see that consciousness is reality, and that we move as consciousness, through consciousness, exploring consciousness, and thereby experiencing consciousness. This is not negating the material world. It is seeing the material world as consciousness temporarily locked up in form, but never limited to the form in which it is functioning. Now, what's cool about this, right? This is just another way to say that, oh, this thing could change, right? Or, again, this situation is temporary. You always need to know that when you're in a bind. Right? You need to know that when your back is against the wall. You need to know that when your bank account balance is negative. Right? You need to know that when you need $1,000 tomorrow and you only got $2. Right?
$2, not 2,000.
Right? You know what I'm saying? This is the point. It's like what I am seeing right now is consciousness temporarily locked up in form.
Right.
Right.
If that helps you understand it, if that helps you see the value and why he's spending so much time talking about consciousness, because you got to be able to apply this information to your lives, right? This is a practical piece. Right? He doesn't talk about that, but it's the
Right.
practical piece.
Right.
Whatever the situation that is unwanted is still temporary.
There you go. Right. And that's the real truth of life. I'm sure you all have heard it. You may have even quoted and expressed it, right? Energy can neither be created nor destroyed, right? It can only be changed, right? And transformed. And so that's what we're saying. Consciousness, substance is another word we talk about often in New Thought, right? To understand that, like Play-Doh, right, it can fill anything, but can it also change, right? Whatever you mold you use, whatever you've created, is just that Play-Doh temporarily locked up in that form. But we all know that we can take that Play-Doh and remold it, reform it, reshape it, put it in another mold. That's the truth of life. It's the truth of your life. Otherwise, no being on the planet would have ever been able to change or experience change in their lives.
And we're not changing because there's something wrong with us.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with consciousness.
Right.
We're changing because we know a new experience of consciousness, right? It's just energy. And we talk, you hear people talk about energy, bad energy. It's just energy.
There you go.
Energy vibrating in different forms. Some of them solid, some of them liquid. It's just energy.
There you go.
And when we realize that it's just energy, even our bank account is just energy that is materialized in a form.
Yeah.
Right? And that is a temporary condition. Right? You've heard PG talk about credit, right? That's a temporary, even if it's bad, quote unquote, it's
Right.
temporary.
There you go.
When you open your mind to that it could be different.
There you go.
And you make the difference in the change, not because there's something wrong with you,
Yeah.
but because you want a new experience of this thing.
There is a trap door in your mind. When you open it by knowing yourself as I am consciousness, new perceptions enter your arena of thinking. They are not perceptions of yourself as you are. They will not lead you to greater outer accomplishments, though these will automatically follow. They will lead you to a higher level of knowing where ideas are factual and things are not intuition, is the process of self-awakening. It gives you glimpses of a larger life, a greater mind, and a deeper reason for being. We have lived too long in the belief of existing as well as we can, physically and comfortably, until death doth us part. Intuition has nothing to do with this that I have mentioned. It is God in humanity as humanity, knowing itself as God, not knowing itself as humanity. Intuition reveals what you have always been.
Well, if you think about intuition, when it comes up and you listen to it, it's always leading you to a better sense of yourself. Not better in terms of there's something wrong with you, but a better understanding of what you really are. Right? You knew that relationship wasn't for you. Intuition was saying, you're worth more. There's more love to be had and experienced and expressed. It's not saying, don't go there, girl, because it's wrong. It's saying, there's more. Come this way. Right?
Yeah. Its revelations seem new and strange. I sometimes call this instruction the science of remembering. Right? How often have you heard us talk about that? Right? There's a song that we've sung many, many years, mostly in meditation. I am remembering who I am. I am remembering who I am. I am. Right? We've talked about this idea of revealing more of who we are. Right? But it has, in order to reveal something, it would have to already exist. Right? It would have to, you were revealing the contents of a box or an envelope. There would have to be something in it to reveal. Yes, yes?
It's so interesting. When I read that, the science of remembering, I've been calling it that for a long time because it's not work that we're doing. We're just remembering I am consciousness. We're just remembering that we have this power that we get to create. We're just remembering that we had choices that we unwanted, and now we get to remember, use this process, this science, to do it differently. That's all.
Yes. It is a way of recalling back to our conscious mind what has always been true. It is knowing what always has been, is now, and always shall be. Intuition reveals concepts that were before a physical universe began. Reminded of
Right.
that scripture, before you were formed
I
in
was
your
gonna
mother's
say that.
womb, I knew you. Which means there's a you that existed before you were skin, body, blood, bone, organs, eyes, teeth, and brain. Intuition reveals concepts that were before a physical universe began. To us, they seem new and startling because we are so sure of the physical now and uncertain of the physical future that we cannot accept consciousness as continuity.
Right? It's the thing running on continuity. It's the thing running under all of your experience that knows you, that is you, that is the power. Continuity.
Right.
Not confusion in your life.
Right.
It's the things that bring you back to clarity because there's continuity flowing.
Right. That's what inspired the song Behind It All. I was listening to the words of Yogananda, who affirmed that God is this thing behind it all, this continuity. And I began, it was in a moment, it was like my life flashed before my eyes. And I began to see the events of my life and understand. And so that's why I wrote in the song, like, I've lived long enough to see and experience all of these things, and recognizing the continuity, recognizing that there was something that was behind it all, right? Underneath, back up, behind. To us, the past is the past, the present is the present, and the future is the future. In pure consciousness, such delineations are non-existent. They have no meaning. In fact, they do not exist. You are, you have been, and you will be.
Period.
The mystic trusts the process and proceeds in their unfoldment of consciousness without fear. She has faith in the creative process of mind. Intuition will not make you rich or happier. It will not bring you health if you are sick. That is not its function. It will lead you into yourself for an exploration of yourself from a higher viewpoint.
And how many times did we talk about seeing yourself from the highest viewpoint, from the love viewpoint, from unconditional love's perspective, that higher state of knowing yourself?
It is a great givingness of conceptions. It cannot be wheedled, cajoled, or threatened. It never functions under tension. That's a deep line right there. It never
Because think
functions
about
under
tension. Tension is fear, and fear is separation. So you won't even have access to it when you're in that place of tension or anxiety or stressed or self-judgment.
Its atmosphere is peace and self-acceptance. And see, here are the clues, right? So if you want to be led and guided, and you want to live from this place of understanding that you're pure consciousness and allowing intuition, capital I intuition, to lead and guide you, that means that you would now have to have practices and habits in your life that release tension and create an atmosphere of peace and self-acceptance. So then this is why meditation then becomes important. This is why the spiritual things that we do become important, understanding that they're supporting us in accessing this, not to dot an I and cross a T, not to check a box, not for to make Pastor Yolanda and Pastor Greg proud, right? Not any of those things. It's simply that the only way to access this space where this consciousness and this knowing resides, it's a place where there is no tension. It's a place, it's an atmosphere of peace and self-acceptance. So we have to be able to create those, that in our lives, to be able to access it. That's why we create those habits. That's why we do those things. That's why we say daily spiritual practice is not an option. Its purpose is not to make you a better person.
Because you're already good.
Exactly. Nor to save your soul.
It's already fine.
Nor to redeem your sins.
You are sinless.
Such theological assumptions have nothing to do with this instruction. Intuition is the process by which you become aware of yourself, not as self, but as the allness and the fullness of being.
And then from that perspective, you create.
There you go. There you go.
From the fullness of being, you create.
Right. I'm wearing this anchor because it reminds me of meditation, and it reminds me of what we've learned in studying transcendental meditation and learning that technique, right? That what you're doing is dropping into that field, that allness and that fullness of being, where everything resides. That which has been experienced and that which is yet to be experienced. And we get to bring that back into the world, bring that back into our life experience.
And that's why you can trust your intuition when you're operating from this place. Because some people are like, I don't have any intuition, or I can't trust my intuition. But they're not understanding intuition from this larger, more powerful perspective. They only rely on it when their knowing has either given them some insight or sent them in the direction of the unwanted. And then they're like, wait, maybe I do have, oh yeah, right? We're taking intuition to the level at which it needs to be elevated.
There you go.
It's not haphazard.
There you go.
Because God ain't haphazard.
Play your hunches if you wish. Often they lead to right results. They are usually a subconscious knowing which reveals itself to the conscious mind. But intuition is not this. Psychology states that what you are is the result of what you have been, and that this usually determines what you will be. This instruction does not negate this. It is true for the person who is living the usual life and not interested in much else than success, health, and happiness. At that level, the psychologists are correct. But intuition is another thing. It deals with the total person, not the person of parts divided into past, present, and future. The infinite being all is not divisible. You, as the consciousness of the infinite, are seeking to know yourself not as divisibility, but as unity. Unity, oneness. This is why we affirm oneness, right? This is why we begin, the first tenets of New Thought, right, are oneness, right? That God is and we are one with it.
Right. And oneness gives us access to all the answers, right? Not saying we're not individualized expressions of the one.
There we go.
We are. And we have access to all of this knowledge.
Right, right. I have to know myself as my, physically, right, as my whole body, right? I don't just refer to myself as a hand and live from the consciousness of this hand. I mean, this is me, right? But this is not me, right? And so often that's what we're doing, right? We're living from the consciousness of this individual separate part, your toenail.
Well, right. You're living from your hand and thinking that your hand is all there is.
Right.
You could, and let's take it to the practical. You're living from my grades or my body and how it weighs and what it looks like, or you're living my age,
where
or
I live,
where you live and what's in the bank, and that ain't all of you.
What school I went to, what
Right.
school I didn't go to.
Right?
Lord have
And so
mercy.
if you don't have all those things that society says you should have, then your hand becomes useless. Because that's all that there is. And we all know we got hands and feet and toes and blood and bone,
Right.
in the physical.
Right. The whole person leaves aside the person to see himself or herself or themselves as the all. Such intuitive perception is not only for the mystics and sages, it is for you as well. It leads to total freedom from struggle, strain, and fear. It is wonderful.
And don't we want freedom from those limitations that are imposed upon us by society? Don't we want freedom from what we perceive as our mistakes? Right? Don't we really want freedom? And now you know that it's always been available.
Absolutely.
And you know how to access it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, we covered some good ground today. I know that there's aspects to this chapter that is esoteric. There's a lot here that's kind of rooted in quantum physics, really. And we're going to get into some more of that as we continue the chapter next week. But it is our desire that we have opened up some things. I mean, we're seeing the comments, and so happy that y'all are with us, and that we get this opportunity, right, to just peel back the layers and the wisdom that's between the sentences and sometimes it's just two words,
Absolutely.
It's so good. It's so good.
It is. And we love doing it because, again, you can have all this knowledge. You could have read these texts before and just thought of them as esoteric.
Yeah.
But you can't live there
Yeah.
in the human form. You got to bring it down, got to come off that mountaintop and apply it to your lives,
Yes.
right?
Absolutely.
So that you can be consciousness in human form, this
Absolutely.
loving presence, this creative force
Absolutely.
right where you are.
Absolutely. So in this moment, it is time for giving. You've seen the information. It's very easy to give to CSC. You can go to our website, celebrationsc.org/give, or you can text to give, 347-744-9500. What's important is that you give what feels good. What's important is that you give from that thought process that feels good, that you're not giving your last, you're not scrimping and scraping and all of that energy, whatever. We don't do that. We don't do that, right? Our giving must be endowed and imbued with joy. So what's your joy number? That's what you give. And so when you give from that place, then you can affirm with absolute confidence and knowing that all the money that I use returns to me multiplied in a never-ending cycle of increase and enjoyment. And to that we say amen. Ashe. And so it is. We love you. We affirm and pray that you will have an awesome remainder of your Sunday and an awesomer week. We look forward to seeing and connecting with many of you on Wednesday for the Momentum Prayer Call. And if not, then we will gather together again next Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, as we will continue with this chapter and continue to go deeper, continue to expand, continue to learn, continue to grow, and continue to let this wisdom inform and show up in, through, and as our lives.
Absolutely.
All right.
Make sure that you reread the chapter this weekend, or come back to this message and use that to read the first part and prepare for the second part.
Absolutely. Well, we love y'all. Enjoy the remainder of your day, and we will do the same. All right. Bye for now.
Bye for now.